Vortex, where the hell is that damn picture?
Something the matter, BB?
What the hell happened to your voice?
Well, I was getting sick and tired of everyone mistaking me for Rasa, so I had to go for a voice change.
And you picked that voice?
It was either I sound like this or I sound like a Terminator.
Makes sense.
So anyway, why are you watching Power Rangers?
You know that belt around Rasa's waist? I was trying to look around through Power Rangers, see if there's any Ranger that has a belt that matches that.
You do know Rasa watches more than just Power Rangers. He actually watches the Super Sentai.
Okay, I'll watch the Sentai.
It's really not that simple. You just type in the site and there you go.
How long's that been going on? Could you watch them with me? Because I'm not gonna...
I got better things to do. See you later.
You gotta be kidding me! There's too much satire to look through.
Something wrong, maybe? You're crying.
It's that belt of yours.
My belt?
I've been researching where the hell that belt came from. What is that?
Kamen Rider Deno.
How did you know this?
You know my friend Rommel?
Yeah?
Well, I showed him the belt, and he didn't know the clue, but he had a relative who may know about these belts. And when I showed it to him, he told me Kamen Rider Deno, and I just looked up and found out all about it.
How long have you known this info?
About a week as soon as I came back. Well, what can I really say about Kamen Rider? Kamen Rider is a tokusatsu.
What?
Tokusatsu.
What the hell is that?
Oh, for bloody tokusatsu. It's a term that's applied to any live-action film or television drama that considers a lot of special effects.
I don't get it.
You seen Godzilla?
Yes.
You see me watching Power Rangers?
Yes.
That's tokusatsu. Okay, again. Kamen Rider is a series that featured a motorcycle-wearing superhero with an insect motif who is fighting an evil organization from taking over the world.
Of course!
The series was popular with each different variation of a Kamen Rider from 1971 to 1989, with different writers to each series. It took a hiatus in the 90s, but it came back in the 2000s. It's still going to this day. And even though it's different series each time, they usually stick with the same idea. The rider's helmet will have some bug-like traces to it, in honoring of the originals. They'll ride vehicles.
Vehicles?
A couple of riders rode cars. And the most iconic finishing move, the rider kick. Well, since we're talking about it, how about a top 5 rider kick video?
Fine.
Okay. Here's the rules to this video. The rules to the video is simple. We're going to be focusing mainly on the Heisei era Kamen Riders. I'm sorry, Showa fans, I haven't seen enough to put them on the list. And we're also going to be focusing on the main riders, because there are a couple of secondary riders I would put better than the main riders. And also, no final forms. They have to be in their base form when they're in combat. Now get your belts ready and start striking the pose. It is Rasa's top 5 rider kicks video. Number 5. We might as well start off with an insectoid rider. Rider kick from Kamen Rider Kabuto.
Really? That's what it's called?
Yeah, that's actually what they called it. I looked it up. Pulls on the horn as a tachyon energy flows down to his leg. He jumps up in the air and kicks the enemy in the side of the face with his foot as they explode, eating them.
That's it?
Yeah. The reason why it's so low on the list is because Kabuto is mostly known for his roundhouse kicks. And yes, I admit his roundhouse kicks are powerful, and I'm pretty sure this is what Chuck Norris fans see when he does one. That's the reason why he's so low on the list, and besides, there's actually a rider who does a better rider kick in the same series.
I really don't see how this one beats Kabuto and... Oh, there. No.
Moving on. Number 4. Darkness Moonbreak from Kamen Rider Kiva. This is actually the first Kamen Rider series I watched by myself, and this series taught me 2 things. 1, other countries' vampires are actually more threatening than an American vampire at the time. And 2, I've solved the censorship difference between an American show and a Japanese show. And these were both for kids. But let's move on to the kick. Kivat flies off his belt holster as he strikes a pose. It is either by how the camera is angled or the person in that costume's moving their leg, but either way it goes, I give him credit for the setup. With his sentient belt breaking the chains off of his leg, revealing bat wings. He jumps up in the air doing a reverse cross as he dives bombs, kicking the enemy with how much force? I'm an American, remember that. Thank you. Hitting the enemy hard enough that they're sliding across the ground, hitting him to a wall as a symbol explodes behind the enemy. That is destructive power from a dive kick. The only reason why it's this low on the list is, for one, this was actually the first show I saw by myself, and I still enjoy it, that style, to this day. And two, sadly enough, his Emperor form actually does a better job than what his base form does. Let's move on to the next one. Number 3, Vortex Finish from Kamen Rider Build. Kamen Rider Build, as of the date of this video, is the current rider in the group, and yet his kick actually makes more sense in so many logics. For one thing, throughout each of the riders' finishing moves, the enemy may has enough strength to do this idea. And yet no, they decide to take it head on, or anything else. Build solves that answer. As it starts off, he turns the crank.
He needs a crank to power up his belt.
Yes, I know, he's the most current rider of the day, and yet he has to turn in a crank to do the finishing move. When I first saw it, I was expecting some music being played and a monkey dancing. Anyway, sets it up. He runs backwards a couple of feet and falls down into a hole. And at that exact moment, a line graph appears holding the monster in place. I have seen many monsters die in this whole Kamen Rider series. I bet you none of them actually said, I have been defeated using business strategies. As Build gets popped up through a pillar, he rides the line graph down, kicking the monster in the face, beating it. The reason why it's higher up on the list is because, one, it solves that problem of the enemy trying to escape from the attack. Some riders may have like a heat-seeking kick, others are just straight up kick to the face. He basically holds the monster down to do it. Yeah, there's another rider up on the list that does the exact same thing in a weird way, but I enjoyed that smart approach. And also, all I can really say for this is
mathematical!
Number 2, Speed Drop from Kamen Rider Drive. When I first mentioned vehicles, I'm pretty sure somebody would have noticed that Drive was going to be on the list. Yeah, he's one of the few riders that has a car instead of a motorcycle, and he uses it for the fullest in this kick. He starts off by turning the key on his belt and pressing a button as 4 tires appear around the enemy, holding him in place. He then summons his car as it starts doing donuts with him getting ready. I would say that's disrespecting the law, but since he's a police officer, that gets a little weird. The monster is then launched as, this is what I heard when I seen this trick being used. With one last kick, he gets out of the circle, stops on a dime, and the monster is defeated. You got to love how the setup. It does solve the answer of holding the enemy down before he does the finishing blow. Let's move on to honorable mentions. Honorable mentions. Final Attack Ride from Kamen Rider Decade. Kamen Rider Decade. I really didn't like the series. I'm sorry. It's like the equivalency of Power Rangers Super Mega Force. It's more for the fans. And the only reason why it's honorable mention is because if it was Romel's favorite show, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even know what this belt around my waist is. So let's talk about the kick. As it sets it up, he puts his final card into the driver to begin the attack while cards float up. He jumps up in the air, dive kicks into each card, and kicks the enemy, defeating him. There's really not much to say. Romel says to me that each time he goes through a card, the kick gets stronger. So my thoughts is, so if he starts off on the top of a mountain, does that move, jumps through each card, his kick will have enough power to destroy a small city or a big city. I don't know how big a mountain is. Would cause enough damage. But then he also told me that they're kind of like heat seekers. Well, monsters, enemy seekers. So the enemy could try to escape, just more cards will keep coming up, making the kick even stronger. This is why I put it out as honorable mention, because I don't know any info on DK to verify if that was true or not. This is just from the words of Rommel. Final vent from Kamen Rider Dragon Knight / Ryuki. And yeah, this is one of those Kamen Rider series that came over to America. And this is during the time when I was doing the whole, these types of shows are stupid phase, as I said with Power Rangers. And after sitting down, watching Dragon Knight and watching Ryuki, I have to say, Dragon Knight wins.
This is a first. You usually say that the Japanese version does a better job.
Because of the fact that Dragon Knight actually ended on a satisfying ending. Ryuki ended on a bitter note, and you more likely, if you want a better ending, you either have to read a book or watch the movie. So, at least Dragon Knight had the goal to say, this is how it ends, this is all you need. Let's talk about the kick. How he uses it by putting a card into his gauntlet. Just notice that both honorable mention deals with cards into their transformation device. His vent monster appears around him as he sets up, jumps up in the air, and just as he's about to dive bomb the enemy, his dragon fires a flame ball around him to hit the opponent, beating them. Why it's on honorable mention is because in the world of Dragon Knight and Ryuki, you're fighting against other Kamen Riders who could actually do the exact same final vent as you. Not the exact same move that Ryuki or Dragon Knight does, but they can basically summon their monster to fight you back. And with a flaming thing, one good hit from their beast may finish you off, because I don't know how destructive firepower is. And besides, if I did actually have to pick a final vent from the Kamen Riders from that series, Wing Knight's finisher actually does a better job as a style of blocking the attack and doing the damage. On to number one. Number one.
Let me guess. The belt you're wearing.
No, not really, BV. Actually, all their finishing moves don't involve the kick unless you count one. And that's rod form, and all it starts off with is him throwing the rod into the enemy, and he uses the rider kick more as a way of pushing the rod deeper into the enemy, finishing him off. No, number one is actually Mighty Critical Finish from Kamen Rider XA.
Ain't that technically not the base form?
Yes, BB, I noticed for some weird reason. In their series, they have two forms, level 1 and level 2. But since the opening shows level 2, most of the time he has to be in level 2. Level 2 is base form. Let's just show the kick. He presses a button on his belt as energy travels into his legs. He jumps up, and then he starts doing a flurry of kicks on the enemy, beating them.
You chose this one because of the fact it has video games in it.
Okay, yes, BB, I like video games and have a Kamen Rider that's based on video game themes, okay? You feel better now? Happy?
Yeah, I'm feeling much better.
Well, besides that, the kick actually gets better when he actually splits into two riders. Words cannot describe it. And that's my list. If you find a rider's kick better than the ones I put on it, put it in the comments below. Until I can really say, this is Rasa, signing out.
Thank you for watching the channel. If you want to watch more, click on the left annotation to see more videos, or subscribe to the channel to see when the next video comes out. Till then,